Hello, I welcome you all to this wonderful lesson in biology, and we've got an interesting topic here called bones. So even as we talk about this topic, I want you to understand each and every word that I'm going to explain. So this is a definition of a bone. What is a bone? A bone is a living tissue that makes up the body's skeleton. So whenever we are talking about a bone, we are all familiar with bones. We know what a bone is. So we are saying that this is just a living tissue that makes up the body's skeleton. This whole body is made up of skeletons. So now we are saying that it is a living tissue that makes up the body's skeleton. You now need to understand what a tissue is. I've used this word saying that it is a living tissue. So when we are talking about a tissue, we are just talking about a group of cells with similar structures, and they get to perform a specific function. That is a tissue. So this is just a group of what? Cells. You know that a cell is a living organism. So those group of living organisms with similar structures and get to perform a specific function is what a tissue is. So now we are saying that these are living tissues that makes up the body's skeleton. You know what a skeleton is. So there is an important topic in biology called the skeletal system, where we get to explain now in details what a skeleton is. But you just need to know that we've got types of skeletons. There is what we call an exoskeleton, endoskeleton, hydrostatic skeletons. All those are types of skeleton. But in this specific topic, we are just talking about bones. I just want to introduce this wonderful topic so that you get to know all what are involved. So now, there are these functions of bones that you need to understand. I had to list them down here so that you get to follow me clearly even as I get to explain this. So now we've got the first function of a bone is that it gives the body a framework. So it is going to provide a framework for the body. So this is a function that you need to know. So a bone will provide this body a framework. So you're able to see me like this. I'm able to do this because there are bones. My body is made up of bones that are giving this thing a framework. Have you seen? So this is a function. Another function is that they get to store what? Mineral storage. There is a storage of minerals. An example of a good mineral that we can talk over is calcium phosphate. So calcium phosphate is found in what? In bones. So the function is to store what? Minerals. One of them is calcium phosphate. So this is what you need to know and understand. Apart from that, we also go to the attachment of the body or the bones. So attachment, the body to be attached to this, to be attached to this. This, have you seen here? For this whole part to be attached like that, there are bones here. So attachment of the body. So that is also the function of a bone. And arouse movement of the body. For this body to move, for me to move like this, meaning that I need to have what? Bones. Any organism without bones, you discover that even its movement is dealt with, is tempered with. Hope you're able to understand. So these are the functions that you need to know. We've got a lot of functions, but for now, you just need to know these 4 functions. They will really help you. 1, to provide the body framework. 2, mineral storage. We've got calcium phosphate there. Then with attachment of the body, we also know that it arouses movement of the body. We now go to the types of bones. So you now need to know that there is a big difference between types and classifications. People get to misunderstand these two. So just make sure that you don't misunderstand these two. So now, what are the types of bones? Generally, we are going to talk about, there are 3 types of bones that you need to know as a student. So the first type of a bone is called compact tissue bone. So the compact tissue bone, this is the hard outer tissue of the bone. So have you seen this? If I remove this skin, there is a bone here. So this hard outer tissue of the bone is what I'm calling what? The compact bone. This outer, if I remove it like this bone, if I remove the skin, I remove everything, I just remain with the bone. This hard thing here, it is called the hard outer tissue of the bone, is what I'm calling the what? Is what I'm calling the compact tissue. We also have the cancerous tissue bone. So the cancerous tissue bone, this is the other name we get to call it as a spongy tissue bone. This is the spongy-like tissue inside bones. So these ones, they get to contain marrows. And we know that bone marrows, that's where we get to produce blood cells. This is what you need to understand. This is what we call, this is the spongy-like tissue inside the bone. Inside the bone. And inside the bone, there are what we call, what we find, there are marrows there. And in the marrows, you now understand that we've got production of blood cells. This is what you need to know. And the other one, it is called subchondria. This is the smooth tissue at the end of the bone covered with a tissue called a cartilage. So this is a smooth bone. Have you seen? If I cut this, you can agree with me that those of you that are from Africa, you are going to agree with me that when you're eating a chicken, for example, so when you cut it, there is that thing that we get to eat by the end of this bone like this. We've got that thing, the cartilage that we get to eat. So that thing that we get to eat, that is what we are calling a subchondrial. So this is a smooth tissue at the end of the bone covered with a tissue called cartilage. So there is a cartilage there, the tissue that gets to cover it, it is called a cartilage. So these are the three types of bones that you need to know, that you need to understand. So I want you to know this, I want you to understand this. If they are to come in an exam, you will be able to answer this, you will be able to understand them clearly. We now go to classifications of bones. So generally these are classified into 5 classes. But I just want us to look at these 3. 1, 2, 3. So I just want us to look at these 3. So the first one is that we've got long bones. So we've got long bones. These are humerus, femur, tibia, fibula. These are examples of what? These are examples of long bones. So these, you discover that they just give the body some structure. They just give the body some structure. Have you seen these? We've got bones like humerus is found somewhere here. This is where we get to find it. We've got femur somewhere here. Here, like hips here, somewhere here. This is where we get to find that. We've got tibia and fibula here. Fibula here. Down here. Have you seen? That's where we get to find these long bones. Then aside that, we also have short bones. So short bones, example here, an ankle. So that is an example of a short bone. So these, you discover that they get to provide the body support. So in as much as they are providing the body support, they are also involving what? Movement. They get to facilitate movement. So they provide the body's support and facilitating what? Movement. This is what you need to know and understand. These are called short bones. Aside short bones, we also have what we get to call flat bones. So flat bones, these are bones where, these are bones that get to more like protect some internal organs. So they get to protect some internal organs and provide attachments of the muscles. Have you seen? So these are what? Flat bones. So there is what we call sesamoid bone. This is an example. An example of a sesamoid bone, we've got a kneecap. So they get to do what? They get to provide some internal. This is just an example. Have you seen? We also have, aside knee couple, we also have patella. This is what you need to know and understand. Aside that, there is also what we call irregular bone. So an irregular bone, we have a vertebra. This is what you need to know. Vertebrae. This is what you need to know. So these are some of the things that you need to understand when we are talking about bones. So these, they are supposed to be known as a student. So this is what I just wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. Stay blessed.